Fine. Now, what we have done, a little bit reminder about this. We are talking in terms of the different types of collecting the evidence, in terms of questionnaires, in terms of flowcharts, in terms of in terms of narrative notes. Okay, and we have done this one, how we are going to collect the evidence as such. Now when we do the process, is it right, when we are working out the process, how you will collect the evidence, is it right? There are so many ways, is it? When you are collecting the evidence, there is another concept is called as a walkthrough test. Is it? Walkthrough test. Assume in reality, is it right? In reality, what will happen in actual terms? I can put like this. Is it right? In actual terms, is that how the things will work? See, you are receiving the goods. Is it right? You are receiving the goods. Is it right? And these goods are going to be verified. Is it right? Verified with voucher. Is it right? With invoice. Is it right? With invoice. And this is going to be signed. Is it right? You are talking in terms of you are talking in terms of purchase transaction. Is that? Assume you are talking in terms of purchase. When you receive the goods, you will verify with the invoice. Somebody will sign. Some person will record. Is it right? And some person will issue. Is it right? Fine. Now, what is the walkthrough test? Walkthrough test is nothing but you as an auditor will present yourself and you will verify personally the process this is going to happen. Is it right? You will walk through. You will just walk through in the process, and you will see that whether in reality the process is working in the order as it is prescribed. Once the auditors have documented the internal controls, they need to test the controls. Where is it right? Fine. Internal controls are fine. You have to test the control. The next 3 lectures will be only on this. Next 3 or 4 lectures, I can say, only on test and test of controls. There is nothing is there to see whether they can rely on them for the audit. You have controls. Is it right? Fine. We will agree with that. But these controls are effective or not. These controls are in practice or not. These controls are applicable or not. That is very important. If we are talking in terms of those conditions, then this is otherwise called as test of controls. One question in the examination will be there. No doubt on that. No one examination is there without this question. Is right? What we'll do? They will initially do a walkthrough test. Is that just you will go, see, assume you are going to an audit to a client, is it right? You will also see the things, how they are preparing the invoice, how the invoice is going to be processed, how the invoice is going to be approved, and how the invoice is going to be dispatched, is right? You will see physically. That concept is called as a walkthrough test. That is, they will follow the transaction through the system to see that if all the controls they think should be in existence, operated for that transaction. They will follow the transaction. Get your point? From one stage to another stage. This concept is called as a walkthrough test. Is it right? Now, how you are going to evaluate this? Just make it a point. Is that we will have one first and repeatedly from now. Is it what you say? You will have the controls and you are testing the controls whether the controls are effective or not. Is that you will give the how you will have the test data. Is it right? You will have the test data. You will say that yes, whether you will give a wrong data and say that whether the controls have been in place or not. Is it right? Assume you will give a password. Is it right? Password is accepting or not. You will test it. Is it right? Sometimes what will happen if because of the software is not that much effective, it may happen. Is that you will see that password is going to be changed. Is it right? Going to be changed at the 15 days or not. You will see. You will not only see the practical things, but also you will see the what is the log. Is that we will see yes, it is happening or not. Is that test performed to obtain evidence about the see this is what it says. Is that we are talking in terms of what? We are talking in terms of effectiveness. Test of control is nothing but test of control is to know the effectiveness of the controls, whether the design of accounting and internal controls are suitably designed. Is it right? Why we are putting the controls? We are putting the controls to prevent, we are putting the controls to detect, and we are putting the controls to correct material mistake. At the basic level, assertion means where you are going to ensure that this is going to be perfect or not. That is the assertion. Is that assertion means you at the basic at the initial level. You are not going to take the errors at the next level. You want to solve the issue at the basic level. Is that what is that? It is an operation of internal controls throughout the period. Is that we are not going to say that yes, test of controls testing is for one day or one time. No, testing will be done all through the time. Is that throughout the period? Remember, test of controls are not designed to detect material misstatements in the financials. Is it? Test of controls is not that you are detecting material misstatements. No, test of controls is only to talk about what? To talk about the effectiveness. In order to detect the material misstatements, what will happen? We are talking in terms of what? Substantive test. Now you have three things in place. One, we are talking in terms of control. One, we are talking in terms of test of control. And the last one, we are talking in terms of substantive procedures. All three are different. Is it? All three are different. Is it? Substantive procedure, they will ask substantive procedure, the format, the approach, is completely different as such. Is it? Now, how we are going to what audit procedures? Can auditor to get the evidence whether how you will say that the controls are effective or not? What is the procedure we adopt? See, when we are talking about the procedure, these are the verbs. This is the way we have to use. Auditors can obtain the evidence by inspection. To inspect. Is it right? What they'll say? They'll say that to inspect. Is it? We say to inquire. Is it right? To reperformance. Is it right? We have to start whenever we are talking in terms of the evidence. You have to make sure that we have to start with this. To observe, to inspect, to inquire. You want to inquire it, is it? You want to inquire or discuss with the management. You are inspecting the inventory, is it? You are investing the inventory count. Yeah, you are inquiring, or what you are doing? You are discussing with what? Discussing with the management. You are reperforming. What you are doing? You be reperforming how the recount is done. Is that? You will observe. Is that you observe the process. Is that? These are the things which an auditor will do. That is what we are expecting from the question as such. Is that we have to make sure that the auditor will inspect, the auditor will inquire to get the audit evidence. Okay, to get the audit evidence about which one? About the controls. Is that they will reperform. Is there whether the controls are effective or not? They will observe whether the controls are effective or not. Is that, that's what it says. In all the cases, they are talking inquiring about the internal controls, reperformance of the control procedures, and observation about the controls. These four words makes lot of difference. Is that what it says when you are talking about the how we are going to evaluate? Is that how we are going to check? I ensure that the controls are right or wrong. Is right? Controls are effective or not. Documenting the internal controls, we have what we have to do? We will do a walkthrough test. See, walkthrough test is simple. Again, I am going to explain that what I say. Walkthrough test is you are, see, as simple as that. Is it right? You are going to the bank. You are an auditor. Is it right? You are going to the bank. You are auditing a banking one. Is it right? When you go for a audit for a bank, you will see how the cash is going to be dispensed. Is it right? How the cash is going to be given by dispensed by the teller. You will stand in a queue like a customer. You attend that you will interact with the teller. You will see how he is doing. Is that how she is doing? And you will see that what are the various other documents she is verifying, whether she is putting the stamp, she is counting the money. Is it that she is noting down the money on the slip, and the customer is counting the money back. Is it right? And ultimately the customer is satisfied and leaving the counter. You will observe that process is called as a walkthrough test. It is when it is reliable. Is that when it is reliable, what is the approach? You will reduce the substantive procedures. Means that's what it says. When the risk is less, is it right? When the risk is less, you will assess the risk. Is that you will reduce substantive procedure. When the risk is high, not reliable, you will do the fully substantive procedure. Fully substantive procedure. It's a very lengthy one. Is that we are not touching that topic at this point of time. At little bit later, we will take into consideration what is the substance. Now, at this point of time, we are talking about the test of controls, how the auditor is going to collect the evidence about the effectiveness of the controls. Is that now once the evaluation, once the auditors have documented, is that what we'll do? We will document. Is that we will document in terms of what? In terms of using the various methods. Is that what are the methods? You are talking in terms of narrative notes. You are talking in terms of the second one is flowcharts. You are talking about the internal control questionnaires and internal control evaluation questionnaires. With this help, you will document. Is that we are not talking about anything about how the process of document will work. Is that once it is documented, they might find there are weaknesses in the system. They will see that yes, how the purchases has been happening, how the cash is maintaining. Is that how the cash register is maintaining? Is that we will start with respect to the register. Then in the end, what will happen? You will have lot of procedures, and the last one is we are going to have a reconciliation. Is it? Now what happens? Definitely, what we are doing, we are going to identify the deficiencies in the internal control system, and we are going to give recommendations for those deficiencies. This is the answer that is going to be there. Is it right? Differentiate between controls and test of controls. That will be for 3 marks, not more than that. And another 12 marks will be there for what? They will be given you a scenario and they will ask you what are the deficiencies, and subsequently the recommendations for deficiency. Auditors have the responsibility. The weaknesses are known as, will not use the word weaknesses, we always use the word deficiencies. Auditors have the responsibility regarding deficiencies. Is it right? We have to, as an auditor, you have to communicate the deficiency. To whom? To the management or to the people who are charged with governance. You just write down this standard. Update the list. Okay, if it is not there, you update the list. Otherwise I will do, no problem. Auditors must communicate significant deficiencies in internal control. They have to communicate, that's all it says. They have to communicate the deficiencies to the management as such. On this they will ask you a question as such. Now there are two things. This will not be there in the examination, but you have to understand what is the difference between these two. There is a deficiency, there is a deficiency in internal control, and there is a significant deficiency. Deficiency in internal control is you are having only one deficiency. Is it right? One exists when a control is designed, implemented or operated in such a way that unable to prevent, detect or correct material misstatements on a timely basis. Deficiency is only one. Now what is the significant deficiency? Significant deficiency is nothing but it is a combination of deficiencies. Multiple deficiencies. That's very important, isn't it? Combination of deficiencies. See, one procedure is wrong, another will be wrong. It's not. It will have more than one deficiency. Is it right? That's what we have to understand. What is a significant deficiency? It is nothing but more than one deficiency. Is it? That's what it is. In the professional, in internal control, that in the auditor's professional judgment is of sufficient importance. That means you have to see, if you have more than one deficiency, definitely you have to communicate to the people who are charged with governance. Either you have to communicate to the people who are charged with, you have to get to the attention of those people who are charged with governance. Understand point? Simple. They will not ask you. I will tell you what they will ask. What they will not ask. But you have to understand that if it is a significant deficiencies, it is nothing but a combination of deficiencies. Is it? And in the examination, they will ask significant deficiencies only. They will not. They will give the scenario and they will ask you to identify various deficiencies as such. Is it? Now when we do the things, how we are going to evaluate, how the auditor will evaluate, keep it in mind. If you understand this, you can do questions very easily. Is it? So how does an auditor judge whether the deficiency is significant or not? Yeah, and how we have to, on what basis you have to communicate to the people charged to the governance. Now it's your judgment, is it right? When you say it is it is a significant deficiency, it says that these are the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They will not ask you all. Keep it in mind. I am telling you this because last semester people asked, can we have to write all this? No. They will ask any 4, any 3. Is it right? Any 6. If it is a lengthy problem, they will ask 6. But now they will ask any 4 deficiencies. Is that based on the scenario? They say that the deficiency is resulting in material misstatements. Is that material misstatement? Material misstatement means you can understand. In terms of what? In terms of percentage. Is it at 1% for the sales, 5% for the profit? That is the material misstatements. Is it right? It will happen in future. The first one. What is the deficiency? There is a susceptibility of what? Loss or fraud. If the auditor suspect that there will be a loss or fraud to the asset and liability because of inefficient controls. Is it right? Because of what? Because of ineffective controls. Ineffective internal controls. See, don't write the things. What you are doing is, don't write only that. Write specific ineffective internal controls. Is it right? Well, next, what it says, the subjectivity and complexity of estimated amounts. We want to estimate what is the error will be there. We want to estimate what is the percentage of error will exist. Is it right? We have to what they are doing. We have to estimate. Is it right? When we are estimating, what will happen? There will be sometimes what will happen? Complexity. Complexity in terms of what? Subjectivity means it is based on the situation. Is it right? It is based on what? It is based on the situation. When it is based on the situation, what will happen? Judgment will come into picture. Subject to complexity of what? Assume complexity in terms of what? I will put it very clearly with examples. Is it right? Complexity with respect to what? Complexity with respect to inventory counting. Is it complexity? Now what happens when if there is any movement of goods, definitely it makes things very complex. Is it right? Movement of goods during goods during inventory count. You have to be very careful. Is it right? Now, what happens? Sometimes there will be damage of goods. Is that there is some damage of goods? Now, when there is a movement of goods, you have to be very careful. When there is a damage of goods, definitely, is it right? You will sell it off. You will say it is a scrap. Then what will happen? You cannot make your own judgment. Is it right? In case of damage of goods, in terms of what we have to do, we cannot do on our own. We have to take the opinion of whom? We have to take the opinion of the experts. If we are talking about damage of good, that is the example of complexity of the transaction. Complexity of the estimated amount. We don't know. Is it right? To what extent the goods has been damaged. Is it right? Then we cannot make our own judgment. Then what we'll do? We will take the help of the experts and we will say that what is the estimated amount of the damage of goods. If that is the case, we have to report to the people charged with governance. The amount exposed to the deficiencies, very important. Is it right? When we are saying amount, it is a big judgment. Is it right? Whether we cannot put it on relative terms. We have to mention it in terms of what? In terms of percentage. That yes, this much. See, again I will put it. This much is the loss. Assume loss is how much? Loss is 25,000. Then we'll calculate what is the profit. Profit is going to be how much? Profit is going to be some you take it as 155,000. Then I'm not calculating. Then we'll say that we have to calculate in terms of percentage. 25,000 divided by 155,000 into 100, you will get some percentage. Whether the percentage is going to have it is exposed to the deficiencies, or if in internal controls deficiencies are there, definitely there will be some losses or some material misstatements will happen in the financial statements. Now what happens? The volume of activity is that the volume of activity. Take an example again. Is it you are talking in terms of retail industry? Is it right? You are talking in terms of retail industry. Retail industry, what will happen? The cash handling will be more. Is that retail industry? You are talking about any retail. Is it right? Retail business. When retail business, your cash handling will be more. Then what will happen? Definitely, there will be a suspect that maybe there will be a error in cash handling. In that case, what we have to do? We have to make sure that the internal controls with respect to cash management should be more effective. Is it? We have to understand the entity and we have to work out that. The importance of the internal controls in terms of reporting process. Is it? In terms of reporting process. Now I will put it separately. Is it right? See what will happen. You will the lower level person staff will prepare. Is it right? Another person will verify, and the top level, the senior manager, is it? The top level person will, what they will do? They will approve. Example. Is it? Example. How it will work? You are talking in terms of cash. You are talking in terms of sales. You are talking in terms of any inventory. Is it? You are talking in terms of fixed assets. In most of the cases, there will be what? We have to prepare a reconciliation. Who will prepare reconciliation? A lower level manager will prepare. Okay, a lower level, a operational manager. Now, very simple. A lower level supervisor will prepare. Is it right? A supervisor or the clerk will prepare. They will use this type of wording. That is the reason I am using the thing. A clerk will prepare. But what happens whenever there is a reconciliation? The manager, the director or the manager should verify, should approve. Then only the document will be valid. If a clerk is preparing reconciliation and it is not going to be approved by the top level, then the document will not be a valid. That is why importance of controls. Here, what is the control? The control is by the manager who will approve the statement prepared by the clerk. The cause and frequency of the exceptions identifies a result of deficiency. If there is a frequency is less or frequency is more, is it right? What happens if that is the case? Is sometimes what will happen? Frequency will be less. The error, the frequency will be less. The material misstatements will be high. Is it right? The material misstatements will be high. What is it? See, now I will explain you. Once in a while they will see, you have internal controls. Is it right? Once in a while there will be a something happens in the internal control. Is it right? But what happens? That once in a while it will have a huge amount. Assume it will have a material misstatement of what? 1 million. Is a material misstatement of 1 million. That is a frequency is less, but amount is more. In some cases, frequency will be more, amount will be less. Where in the banks, wherever the cash handling is there, what will happen? Definitely the people who are handling the cash, is it right? The people who are the staff who are handling the cash, definitely they will be given some amount, some additional uh, amount it will be added to the salary. Is that because what? If there is any material misstatements, they have to pay from their side. Is that? That is what we are talking in terms of what is the cause and what is the frequency. And most importantly, what we are doing, we are talking about the interaction of the deficiency with other deficiencies. It is otherwise called as a significant deficiency. Is it? Interaction with that means colluding. Is that? There is a fraud. Is that? What is the fraud? Fraud is nothing but it has been done intentionally. It has been in combination of more than one person. Is that? It means one error will have multiple effects. That is the reason we are what we are doing. We are talking in terms of significant deficiency. Interaction of deficiency with other deficiencies. Auditor must communicate significant deficiencies on a timely basis. Keep it in mind, not only on a timely basis, but also it should be in writing. That is what we are going to do in the examination. In the examination, they will give you a scenario and we will going to put it in writing. What are the deficiencies and what are the recommendations? Is it right? They say that yes, it includes the deficiency and we are going to make an explanation. And when we are putting that in place, we are going to give the management how best they can understand. Is it? They will understand what we are doing. We see it's there in the one column. We calculate, we identify the deficiency. In another column, we will give what? We will give recommendation. To whom we are doing this? We are giving it to whom? We are giving it to the management. This is the question. This will be there for 12 to 15 marks.
Master?
Yes.
Can you please repeat the fifth, I think, fifth point?
No, six.
No, six.
Number.
Yes. Wait. 4 and 5.
The amount exposed in deficiencies. Is that what is the amount has been exposed? Is that if we are saying that, is that assume if we are saying that I will put like this, is it right? I will put 1 minute. I will take like this. Is it? I will put in this box. Is it? Now, what is the amount exposed to the deficiencies? 4 and 5 now you are asking?
Yes.
Is it? What is the amount exposed? You are having the sales. Is it right? We are having the sales. What will happen? You are giving the, in order to increase the sales, we have done before somewhere the same example, that is why I am repeating this. In order to increase the sales, is it right? What will give? We will offer discounts. When you offer discounts, what will happen? Definitely the sales will increase and the receivables will also increase. Receivables will increase and receivables collection period. Receivable collection period will also increases. Receivable collection period should not increase. Receivable collection period should be less. Is it right? Now, what happens when you are offering? See how the cycle will work. Is that when you offer discount, the receivables will increase, receivable collection period will increase, and automatically what will happen? The losses will also increases. Non-recovery. Losses is nothing but non-recovery. Now, when you do the things, is it right? Just imagine the amount exposed. Is it right? This is a deficiency. Is it right? You are not having controls over the discounts. Is it right? You are just, if you should have controls over the discount. Now, what happens if we are doing this? If we are doing this, see, we cannot make risk zero. Our task is to minimize the risk to the acceptable low level. Now what happens whenever you are selling it on sales? Is it right? Fine. You have to have a list. You should have a approved list. Is it right? Approved list of the clients who are not blacklisted, who are not defaulted. Is it right? You give discounts, fine, but give discounts only to those people who are approved. That is the internal control. You are having the internal control. But what happens if you are giving the discounts who are not in the approved list? Is that who are not in the approved list? Definitely what will happen? There will be repercussions. Then the amount of bad debts will increase. Is it? Then the amount of bad debts will increase. As an auditor, whenever we are verifying, whenever you are getting the evidence with respect to sales and receivables, it is there in one of the questions, not one, more than one questions. The auditor should verify that the credit is given to only those people who are in the approved list, so that the amount exposed to the deficiencies should be less. If you are giving the credit only to the approved list, definitely we can minimize the bad debts. That is the example for point number 4. Regarding point number 5, the volume of activity that has occurred or could occur. Is it the volume of activity? How much is the sales? Is it right? How much is the sales? When you say it's a volume of activity, I gave you I will take the same example. A retail industry. Is it right? A retail business, not industry, retail business. They have lot of cash handling. When you have the lot of cash handling, definitely, see, you are doing the business and you are taking care of your retail business. How you will do? You will put the controls over it. Is right? You are going to put controls with respect to what? Controls with respect to the register, controls with respect to the cash handling. Is that cash? You are handling the cash to the other person. Is it right? At the end of the day, is that controls will be there, that how much cash received, is it right, and how much cash has been deposited. Is that this is the control? How much you have received the cash and how much you have deposited the cash. What will happen? Definitely, when the volume will increase, definitely you will have more effective controls to manage, to oversee to the cash aspect. Is that's what it says. How we are talking in terms of amounts and how we are talking in terms of volume of activities. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, clear.
what we are going to do is that when we have the deficiencies, we are going to give some recommendations to the deficiencies. That's what we are doing, is it? They say they can state more deficiencies identified by the auditor in a effective manner. They can include a statement in the written communication. That's what we are doing, and we are going to communicate it for the purpose of who are charged with the governance as such. Is that this is we are talking about what? We are talking about the deficiencies and recommendations. Now coming to this, we have what are the different types of controls, is it right? When we say we are talking in terms of different types of controls, we have to divide it. Is it? They are dividing it what? They are dividing it into general IT controls, is it? General IT controls, and they are talking in terms of what? They are talking in terms of application controls. When we say it is that application controls, it is related to financial statements. It is related to financial control. Is that you have general controls, you have application controls. We are very much concerned. See, they will not ask you what is the general control. They will not ask you what is the application control. Is that they will only ask you the application controls. Maximum, if they are putting 6 marks for this, they will say 4 will be for application controls, 2 will be for general control. What are the examples of this? They commonly include controls. See what they are talking about, the policies, procedures related to applications. Is it right? To ensure that there is a continued proper operation and information system. What are the general IT controls? General IT controls in terms of what? Data center, in terms of systems, software acquisition, in terms of change and maintenance, what is the security, and most importantly, application systems acquisition. These are general IT controls. See, technically speaking, we are not concerned about general IT controls at all. But for the information purpose, they will divide. Some are general controls. General controls are only related at a broader area. Whereas the most specific one, we are talking in terms of what? Application controls. What are the application controls? They are related to what? They will have the controls or the procedures, initiate, record, process, and more importantly, report transactions. Is that they want what they say? They can be prevented or detective in nature. They can we can prevent it, we can detect it. Is it right? In terms of what? In terms of we want to ensure the integrity of the accounting records. In other words, we are talking in terms of what? We are talking in terms of financial statements. They will not say, I am saying this. See, these are the concepts. Is it right? These are the concepts. They will transfer these concepts into scenarios. Understand? That's why. Without going through the concepts, if you directly jump and try to solve the questions, definitely we will not have any background how you have to approach the things. There are two types of control: general IT controls related to system, software, maintenance, security, all those things. Application controls in terms of financial data, in terms of initiate, record, process, and report. They gave you a small way of putting the things. Is it right? I'm not going to focus that much here. Very simple. Is that they are talking about what? What are the general controls in terms of what are the standards of the design programming of documentation. They are talking about the testing procedures. They are talking about the approval of computer users, all those things. Segregation of duties. Is that this is little bit segregation of duties, those responsible with respect to design. Why we use this? You ask me, okay? Why we say that we want general IT? See, whenever we are having the approved list. Is that we should have a approved list, or we have a master file. Is that this type of, we will discuss this the same concept in the questions when we do. You have the approved list, you have the master file. This approved list and master file should access by the authorized person only. Is that approved list with respect to what? Approved list with respect to suppliers. Is that approved list with respect to what? Approved list with respect to the assets register. Approved list is with respect to what? With respect to to whom we have to discounts to be offered. You know what? Approved. This is what the approved list. Why general IT controls we are concerned about this? The general IT controls we are concerned about this is because the master file should not be accessed by any other person who are not authorized to access. And whereas application controls are whom? Application controls is with respect to what? With respect to the people who are in operations. Understand? This is the basic difference. You will have. Why we are concerned with general IT controls and application controls. We should not master files. Master files should not be accessed. Otherwise, what will happen? A person at the clerk level, a person at the supervisor level, they will change the data. They will change the data. If they are changing the data, it means, is it right? I will write here. If it is accessible to unauthorized person, unauthorized staff, means the internal controls, is it right? The internal controls are ineffective. This is the purpose. Only for this point, they have explained this one, segregation of duties. Installation procedures, again, is that installation, you cannot install the software, you can only use front end, is that? And you have what is the training of staff, new procedures. Is that if any new procedures are there, how we have to give the training. This is what it says. Is that we are talking in terms of segregation of duties. We are talking about the full records of any changes in the program. We are talking in terms of password protection. Definitely there is a restricted access. No entry will be there. Is it right? There is also an internal control. We are talking in terms of program logs. Who has access? Who has not access? You are going to your office. Is it right? You are going to your workplace. Immediately you will log into the system. We think that yes, it is only known to us. No, the moment you log in, definitely at the back end, it will be your record will be initiated. Is it right? You are talking about any virus checks. You are talking about any backup copies. Is that control copies, and you have a stricter controls. Is that means it is basically related to what? It is basically related to the technicalities or specifications for the IT, information technology. Whereas we are talking about what? In again general controls, we are talking in terms of the various examples they gave you. Okay, training of, when we are talking about testing and documentation of the program changes, we are talking about the procedures, what is the standards, is it right? Whether we have done it for an approval, we have taken the approval and we have given a training or not as such. Is that Controls to prevent wrong programs or files being used. Is it right? You cannot, in some cases, if you take into consideration in some organizations, I don't want to name the organization, but in some organization, even you cannot access the mail which has been sent from the outside the organization. Got my point? If you are opening the mail which is received from outside the organization, definitely there will be a trigger, alert will be there. Is it right? You are talking about in terms of is it LIB programs. These are all technical, IT related terminology. Is it right? You are talking about the library of programs and you are having a proper job scheduling. How we are going to transfer from one. See what happens when you are talking about proper job scheduling. You will have people will work for a 24 hours. Is it right? They will work for 8 hours a shift. Is it right? One person is working, another person will take over. Is it? Then if a person is doing some changes, is it? If a person is doing some changes, definitely what will happen? It will be noted there that this person has been done. Mr. A has been done, and it has been done on 31st October. It has been done at 5:30 p.m. These are the things we are talking in terms of what general IT controls in terms of password protection. We are talking about the restricted access. Here we can have some basic understanding about this. Is it right? Controls to ensure the continuity of operations. Is it right? We storing extra copies of the programs. Is it? We cannot store copies off site. Is that means other means if you are storing, definitely there should be a proper internal controls has to be there. Is right? Protection of equipment against fire, backup resources. Is right? Disaster recovery procedures where you are going to have at the remote places backup is done or not, and subsequently we are talking about maintenance of agreement and more importantly insurance. This we are doing in the basic way of protecting the IT environment. Is that? What are the application controls? Is that? Application controls are when the moment we talk about application controls, we have to make sure that it is related to financial data and it is related what? It is related to financial statements. See the things here they have mentioned controls over master files, controls over the data. That's very, very important. This is the application control. Is it? Controls how we are having the inputs. Is that? What happens? See now you make it a point. Is that? We are using what we are using a barcode. Is it right? We are using the barcode automatically. See what happens in the barcode also. What we are saying is we are observing what's happening at the selling point. Apart from that, first what happens? This barcode has to be entered in the master file, and subsequently we are going to access the transaction file only. We will never access the master file. We only access what? If anything is there in the master file, the transaction file can be processed. If it is not there in the master file, the transaction file will not get processed. Inputs, processing, and subsequently we are talking in terms of how the data has going to be handled. We will have controls at the input level, we have controls at the processing level, subsequently we have controls at the master files level. This is repeatedly asked in the examination. Repeatedly. We are not talking about anything with input or processing, but we are talking basically in terms of master files. Yeah? Keep it in mind. These are all inputs. These are all inputs. The moment you are thorough with, once this lecture is over, revise these points. Revise these points. Keep these points in mind. Automatically we can work out the question papers. Automatically we will not find any difficulty in solving the question papers. What is the control over inputs? Control in terms of what? In terms of agreement of control totals. See the things. You have, what we will do, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it right? We have Sunday, I am giving you, we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Is it right? Now, this total, is it right? Total as well as in the columns, and total in terms of rows, is it right? Row total and column total should match. What we have done in terms of the assertions, in this we said that in terms, it is first what we will do, we will take into consideration mathematical accuracy. We first step in substantive procedures is to test, to verify the totals. The first step is that to verify the totals. You do n number of questions. Every question is there to have the mathematical accuracy. If the totals are fine, then we'll go to the next stage. What are the control totals? Is that what are the control totals? Take the thing. Is that control totals is nothing but you make it a point. This is customer 1. Is it right? Customer 1, customer 2, customer like this. Is that you are selling the goods? Is it right? You are selling the goods. Automatically what will happen? You will have the receivables. You will see what is the total on day wise basis and what is the total on customer wise basis. Is that day wise basis? You will see at the end of the day, you will, what we have done, we will get confirmation from the customer 1. Customer 1 will get the confirmation. For customer 1 it is payables. For us it is a receivables. The payables and receivables are matching or not. Manually or programmed controls. Second one, document counts. Always we have to see the sequence order. Is it? Always, anytime, see the thing, anytime when we are generating invoice, is it right? When we are generating invoice, the invoice number should be generated automatically. There should not be a manual intervention. Is it? There should not. Always what will happen? If that is the case, we will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If something is missing, definitely we can identify. We can say that it is not complete. You know what? If one of the invoice is missing, it means it is not complete. One for one checking of process output to source document. Is that what you are doing? We are saying that, see, what is the invoice and what is the receipt. You know, you are checking, we are verifying, is it right? We are saying, we are verifying what is the invoice amount and what is the receipt amount. We then only will say that is complete. Program matching of input and expected outputs. Is it right? See the thing. See the things. That's what it says. You will take the backup. Is it right? You are taking the backup. You are taking the backup from hard drive. Is it right? From your hard disk. Is it right? You are going for a external disk. This is what the basic concepts talks about. Here it is 25 GB. Here it should also be how much? 25 GB only. Then You are matching what are the inputs and what are the outputs. Get your point? This is program matching of input to an expected input control file. Is that? Procedures of resubmission of rejected controls. Sometimes what will happen? The transactions will be rejected. Is that they will not take into consideration? Is right? As simple as that. Is right? You make it a point. You are swiping the product and the product is not going to be accepted. Definitely, what we'll do? What is the procedure for resubmission? Is that again in that case you have to think in terms of what? You have to think in terms of first you have to update the master file, then you have to work on the transaction file. Here little bit information technology vocabulary we are using. Is it? That is the now as simple as that. Is that most of the time what will happen? Most of the cases we are working on automation. Is it right? Most of the time, every other case, every smallest of the smallest business also, they are using what? They are using the swiping machines. Okay, as simple as that. Is that when you are talking about the swiping machines? Is that the cards? Is it right? What we have to mention what is the cash? Is that cash collected through cards and cash collected through physical cash? Is it right? The cash has to be what? The manual cash should be matched with the what? It has to be matched with the register. These are the basic processes. How we are talking in terms of control over the inputs. In the same way, we are talking in terms in terms of accuracy and authorization. Is it? You are programmed to check fields or inputs for plausibility. See what happens whenever we are talking in terms of inputs. Is it right? You will have some fields. Is it right? You will have name. Is it right? You will have amount. Is it right? You will have quantity. You will have rate. You have total. Assume now. Is that you will have quantity. You have rate. Now what they will do most of the time, they will put one asterisk mark here. Means this is compulsory. Rate will be see the moment you are scanning the things. Is it right? The moment you will scan the things, what will happen? The barcode will come. It will identify the product. Is it right? It will identify the product. We are talking in terms of accuracy. Is it right? We will only input what? We will only input quantity 5. Automatically rate will be accessed from where? Master file, and automatically total will come. Programs to check the data field. If you are not scanning the things, definitely barcode reader will not come. If you are not going to give any quantity inputs, the total will not come. Some fields are mandatory. That is the reason whenever you will find a software, they will say that these, if you come across this type of asterisk mark, it means it is a compulsory. Manual scrutiny of output and reconciliation to source. What we are doing in order to make this we will verify a sample of transactions. We will verify. We will not entirely depend on the software. Understand? As an auditor, you will not entirely depend on the software. You will see, that is the walkthrough test. Is it right? You will see that you will take a sample of transactions and you will see that whether it has been matched with the source document. And subsequently, we are agreement with respect to what? Control totals. See, control totals is nothing but Is that it is nothing but it does, as an example I will do the thing. You are handling the cash. Is it? You are handling the cash. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. These totals and these totals should match. If you are talking about the day wise, is it Sunday totals? Is it right? Then this total is otherwise called as a control. Yeah, every specific, is that every, whether it is on the row wise or it is on the column wise, that is going to be called as control. Controls with respect to different types of inventory. Is that controls with respect to different types of inventory? Controls with respect to different types of receivables. You are getting receivables from different customers. Is that every customer account should be match with your register with the customer register also. Get my? This is with respect to accuracy. Again, accuracy is mostly it is a mathematical accuracy. Is it? Authorization. What we are doing, whether it has been by the authorized persons or not. Manual checks to ensure information input was authorized and input by authorized persons or not. Means we have to make sure that whether we should not enter a data which is not in the approval list as such. Is it? That's what it is. The first one is we are talking about completeness. Second is we are talking about accuracy. Third thing we are talking about the authorization. Processing, is it? When we are talking about the processing, what will happen? You will process, you will take backups. Is it right? You will take backups. Batch processing, batch reconciliation. See what happens. Again, same thing, is it? You have batch number. Batch number 1, batch number 2, batch number 3, batch number 4. Is it? These batch totals, is it? These batch totals, row wise, is it right? In terms of day wise, is it right? These batch totals as per day wise and these batch totals as per number wise should match. But that means what we are doing again and again, we are making sure that we are not going to miss anything as an auditor. Is that screen warnings to prevent people from logging out before processing is complete. A simple example, is it right? Whenever don't shut down, you will come across in your systems so many times, is it right? It is, if this data is processing, otherwise you are making online payment, is it right? Whenever you are making an online payment, is it right? What the message will come the moment you will submit, the message will come that this data is processing or don't exit. Is it? This data is processing, don't exit. Is it? That is the example of screen warnings. Last but not the least, controls over master files and the standing data. Standing data is nothing but standing is the data which has been in with reference. Okay. When you have controls, definitely master file is the source document. Is it right? Master file is the source document. Anything happening in the master file, we have to be carefully scrutinize that. Is it right? What it says, whenever we have controls, every record in the master file should be checked on one-to-one basis. First thing. Next, master file should be reviewed periodically. Should be reviewed periodically because there will be some additions and there will be some deletions. periodically every month. Is it? Now, where we use this concept, okay? Where we use this concept, in which type of questions you will come across this concept? You will come across this type of concept whenever you are doing a question related to payroll. Is that whenever you are doing a question related to payroll, we will do this. Is it right? What happens during the payroll? Whenever you are making the payment, we have to see the staff which has been added and the staff which has been exited from the organization. On what? I told you. It has to be reviewed what? It has to be reviewed on monthly basis. Cyclical review of all master files, because when we are making a payroll is based on the people who are existing on the records. Is that some people have added? Fine. Some people have been resigned? Fine. You have to take that into consideration. This point, is that I am repeatedly saying this. This point we are going to use whenever we are talking in terms of payroll. We will do into terms of how many records are there. Is it right? How many records are there and how many batches are there. Controls over deletion of accounts with no current balance. You cannot delete the accounts also. Understand point? See, basically, if you ask me, the experience is that we cannot access the master files. You cannot do anything as a supervisor, as a clerk, as a processing clerk, as a basic middle level manager also. We can only access. We cannot modify. Don't get bored, okay? Don't say that yes, what we are talking about theory. The moment we are transforming this to the questions, you will find the most easiest way to answer. Most easiest way, is it right? Now we will think that what is general IT controls, what is the application controls, is it right? What is the completeness, what is the accuracy, what is the authorization, is it right? We will think like that. But what happens is that if we are not covering this, definitely we don't know how to apply these concepts in the examination. What they say that application controls are manual or automated. Is it right? Application are manual that operate over a accounting application. Application controls are operated on what? Application controls are operated on financial data or on financial statements. Is that financial? Now, password protection of the programs is what? It is the general IT controls. General batch controls is nothing but we are talking in terms of what? In terms of accuracy. Is it? Batch controls are application. See, what is the difference? Is it? What is the difference? As simple as that. Is it? I will make it more clear. General IT controls and application controls. Is it right? General IT controls and application. General IT controls are back end. Application controls are front end. Is it? One-to-one checking. We are one-to-one checking with respect to the records, master records. It is nothing but it is the example of application control. Regular backup. It is related to not for hours. Is right? It is related to what? it is related to the IT department. What it says, how the vast majority of businesses use computerized systems, so that it is essential that you are familiar with the IT controls. Most of the businesses using what? Computerized systems. With IT, and they so as they may come up in a scenario based question in the examination. Is right? We will do this 2013 paper. Is right? We are talking about the thing. What are the application controls that should be adopted for the industries to think in terms of what? To think in terms of completeness and to think in terms of accuracy. See, what they are writing, see, they should not write this, but they are writing. We can't do anything. It is a students notoriously find computer audit difficult, but it is the area that to be tested regularly by the examiner. Current F8 examiner tested internal controls in every sitting. Understand why? Every way it has been tested. You could be tested what are the components of internal control in either section A, or they will ask you to explain elements of internal control. You should be asked between the difference between test of controls and substantive procedures. I am checking whether is it scenario based questions. 1 minute. Is it 1 minute? What they say, it is June 2013. Is it right? June 2013. I will stop here. Is that? I will stop here. I will take June 13 question paper and we will discuss that. Okay, 1 minute. I am stopping the recording also because I cannot. 1 minute.